Before the world knew him as Rock Hudson, there was a quiet boy who had already learned one painful truth about life. People can disappear, and when that happens early enough, something inside you changes forever. He was born Roy Harold Scherer Jr. on November 17, 1925, in Winnetka, Illinois, during a time when America itself was struggling to breathe through the Great Depression. His father worked as an auto mechanic, but money was always uncertain, and then one day that uncertainty turned into absence. Roy's father simply left. No explanation a child could understand. Just an empty chair at the table and the quiet realization that stability could vanish overnight. For a young boy, that kind of loss teaches silence. Roy grew up tall, awkward, and painfully self-conscious. He had a stutter that made speaking in class feel like stepping onto a stage where everyone was waiting for you to fail. Kids noticed. Some laughed. Teachers grew impatient. Over time, Roy spoke less and observed more. When the world feels unsafe, watching becomes easier than participating. But there was one place where none of that mattered: the movie theater. In the dark, Roy could sit unnoticed while watching men like Cary Grant, Clark Gable, and Gary Cooper move through life with effortless confidence. They didn't hesitate when they spoke. They didn't shrink when people looked at them. For Roy, movies weren't just entertainment, and they were proof that another life might exist. After serving briefly in the Navy during World War II, he drifted west to Los Angeles with no acting training, no connections, and very little confidence. What he did have was presence. At 6 feet 5 inches, broad-shouldered and strikingly handsome, he caught the attention of talent agents almost immediately. Hollywood saw opportunity, but Hollywood wasn't interested in Roy Scherer. It wanted something bigger, something stronger, something easier to sell. So Roy disappeared. In his place appeared Rock Hudson. The transformation was relentless. Voice coaches trained him to eliminate his stutter. Acting teachers drilled posture, speech, and movement until hesitation vanished. Publicists rewrote his past, smoothing away anything messy or vulnerable. Rock Hudson had to be confident, masculine, unshakable, a symbol, not a person, and the world believed it. By the mid-1950s, Hudson became one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Films like Magnificent Obsession, 1954, and All That Heaven Allows, 1955, turned him into a romantic icon. Then came Giant, 1956, alongside Elizabeth Taylor and James Dean, earning him an Academy Award nomination and cementing his image as the perfect American leading man. Magazines called him the most handsome man in the world. But the image came with a cost. Behind the scenes, Hudson lived a life of careful control. His relationships were monitored, his friendships questioned, and in 1955, the studio arranged a marriage to Phyllis Gates, hoping to silence rumors about his private life. The marriage lasted only a few years. It was never built on truth. For decades, Rock Hudson performed two roles: the confident star the world adored, and the private man he could never fully reveal. Then, in the early 1980s, his health began to fail. At first it was fatigue, weight loss, small changes that could be ignored. But eventually doctors confirmed what he feared. Hudson had AIDS, a disease that, at the time, was surrounded by fear and misunderstanding. When the news became public in 1985, it shocked the world. Rock Hudson, the symbol of Hollywood romance, was suddenly at the center of a national conversation about a crisis many people had refused to face. He died on October 2nd, 1985, at 59 years old. And in a quiet twist of history, the man who spent his life hiding the truth became one of the first celebrities to force the world to confront it. Because sometimes a life built on silence can still leave behind a voice powerful enough to change everything.